Welcome to Uniquely Spoken Podcast, where transparency sparks transformation. Are you ready to dive into conversations that will spark ideas and inspire action? This is a podcast that refuses to accept the status quo. I am Juanita, the founder of Uniquely Spoken LLC. I started this podcast to ignite change in healthcare, starting with long-term care settings. It is time to transform nursing homes and rehabilitation centers, assisted living and memory care communities to all become premier long-term care settings nationwide. It is time for all long-term care settings to receive a 5-star quality and customer service rating. It starts now, and it starts with me. It starts with you, and you. And the time is now. Welcome to episode 1, Medication Management in Long-Term Care, Real-World Challenges, Hidden Risk, and System Gaps. I'm glad you're here because today we're talking about something that affects safety, trust, and outcomes across long-term care, yet often doesn't get the honest attention it deserves. Medication management in long-term care isn't just about passing meds or following policy. It's about navigating real-world conditions, time pressure, system gaps, competing priorities, and the quiet risk that build up when support doesn't match reality. In this episode, we're pulling back the curtain on the real challenges and hidden risk that exist in medication management and why transparency at the system level matters just as much as individual practice. This conversation isn't about blame. It's about awareness, accountability, and transformation so we can move towards safer, stronger teams and better outcomes for everyone involved. Let's get into it. We'll take an inside look at what's really happening behind the scenes in long-term care settings. We aim to expose critical issues through authentic stories and practical research, uniting nationwide to eliminate alarming outcomes that are existing in our long-term care settings nationwide. We aim to create safer environments for everyone. All across social media, staff, residents, families, loved ones are showing you transparently the challenges and what is happening inside of our long-term care settings. Uniquely Spoken LLC is pulling back the curtains and calling for a nationwide collaborative action to spark solutions. The time for change is now. Medication errors occur at an estimated rate of 1 in 3 residents per year. And the true incidence is likely higher due to underreporting. Many nurses and medication aides hesitate to report errors because they fear being fired, losing their licenses, or facing lawsuits for negligence. This fear often extends to concerns for their coworkers and judgment from coworkers, creating a culture of silence that compromises resident safety. Medication management alarming key facts. There is a prevalence of 27% of nursing home residents experiencing medication errors each year. Federal regulations require and error rate be below 5%. But many facilities exceed this due to staffing shortages, lack of empathy, compassion, caring, and fear. There is a severity in these settings of 1 in 3 Medicare residents experiencing harm within the first month of admission. 37% of these adverse events involve medication errors, and nearly 60% are preventable. Let me repeat that. Nearly 60% are preventable. Medication error admission contributing factors. Polypharmacy. Taking 5 or more medications significantly increases risk related to transcription errors. Gaps in the admission process, especially when staff lack time, training, or empathy for thorough medication reviews, are major contributors. We will hone in on the importance of what if in a later episode. There are hospitalization medication changes that are made without the resident or family's agreement per their reporting, or medication lists are being submitted by providers that do not have full knowledge of medication orders that are prescribed by different specialists. This is increasing the risk of errors. And there are high-risk drugs, anticoagulants, also known as blood thinners, diabetic medications, and opioids account for the most severe injuries and deaths. And one may ask why polypharmacy matters. Well, residents with polypharmacy are at increased risk for drug-to-drug interactions, confusion over dosing schedules, transcription errors, omission or duplication of medications, adverse reactions, falls, and guess what? Hospitalizations. The staff role: compassionate, empathetic, caring, well-trained, and compliant staff are essential for accurate medication reconciliation and ongoing monitoring. Facilities with strong safety cultures and adherence to best practices see lower rates of preventable harm. And let's discuss assisted living and memory care similarities. They have similar vulnerabilities. All of the contributing factors that exist in nursing and rehabilitation centers for medication errors are prevalent in assisted living and memory care facilities. Medication aid. In states where medication aids manage medications, they are under limited supervision with limited training, with an increased risk of errors, with only one licensed nurse overseeing an entire community. Systemic factors. Higher resident to staff ratios exist, and they have in many locations the versatile worker concept, where they manage medications, housekeeping, laundry, and activities, etc. There's a lack of standardized training on complex medication regimens, which amplify error rates. I must give this disclaimer. There are medication aids that are empathetic, compassionate, and caring that does a remarkable job because they ask questions and they follow through. Why this matters: medication errors, deaths, injuries, high legal payouts, hospitalizations, care staff turnover, and burnout are not just numbers. They represent systemic cracks with critical risk and outcomes for everyone. We're laying the foundation for transparency in long-term care settings, igniting a collaborative commitment to advocate for better standards nationwide. Diabetes management. Diabetes management is a major undertaking with prevalence rates estimated between 25% and 34% of residents in the United States long-term care settings. Most diabetic residents require 1 to 4 finger stick tests per day, with insulin administration holding the same parameters, demanding precision in dosage and timing. Each blood glucose device must be disinfected and allowed to dry between uses to uphold infection control standards. Abnormal readings may result in notifying the physician to determine additional insulin orders, and additional documentation is attached to this. As we close today's conversation, remember this: real change in long-term care doesn't start with perfection. It starts with honest awareness. If this episode sparked reflection, challenged assumptions, or mirrored what your daily journey is, don't let it end here. Take the next step. Follow the podcast so you don't miss upcoming conversations or becoming a guest. Share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And continue the dialogue beyond the bedside and beyond the policy manual. Transparency creates momentum, and momentum creates transformation. This is Empowering Healthcare, and the work will continue. Thank you for joining us. We broadcast every Tuesday, 5:30 a.m., 8:30 a.m., 3:30 p.m., and 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This allows us to connect with all time zones for this nationwide call to action. And don't forget to tune in next week for episode 2, Inside the ABT Staffing Study: How Federal Standards Miss the Real Work of Long-Term Care Nurses. And to stay updated and to join as a collaborative effort, know that your voice matters. Thank you for joining us on Uniquely Spoken LLC podcast. Please subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Remember to connect with us. Follow, comment, subscribe, share, be a guest. Visit us at uniquelyspokenllc.com/podcast. That's UNIQUEELEESPOKENLC.com/podcast. Or if you are a viewer, scan our QR code. Please remember to stay informed, stay empowered, and keep the conversation going. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you next week.